They keep telling you to speak up, to broadcast your every plan so the world knows you exist. But let me ask you this. When was the last time screaming your intentions actually built anything real? What if every time you opened your mouth, you were trading pieces of your power for a moment of validation that fades before the echo even dies? Because that's the game no one talks about. The more you talk, the more you leak your momentum into ears that don't deserve it. And maybe that's why the ones who build legacies are the ones who move in silence. So let's be brutally honest. This world is addicted to noise, to highlight reels, dopamine hits, endless applause from strangers who don't even know your last name. Every post, every explanation, every confession, it's a tax you pay with your focus and your energy. And here's the part that burns the most. They tell you that if you're quiet, you're irrelevant. That silence means you're afraid, or that you have nothing to show. But I'll tell you what silence really is. Silence is a weapon. It's a hidden blade kept sharp and close. It's strategic disappearance while you're out here stacking your skills and sculpting a version of yourself no one's ready for. Silence is the lab where you become dangerous. And the louder they scream for your attention, the deeper you disappear into the shadows, working, refining, evolving. Because you know the truth, the world doesn't respect noise. It respects results. Let them keep chasing likes and performing for algorithms. You're going to vanish quietly and return untouchable. In this video, I'm going to show you why focusing on yourself and staying silent might just be your unfair advantage, and how when you do, everything you've been chasing will start chasing you. Let me introduce you to Jason. He's 32, sharp mind, big ideas, and a hunger to do something great. But every morning, before his feet even touch the floor, his fingers swipe open his phone, and suddenly he's drowning in other people's victories. Highlight reels of people buying houses, building businesses, flying first class, grinning under neon lights. And in those moments, he forgets his own plans. His dreams get smaller with every scroll, replaced by this quiet ache in his chest, whispering that he's already behind. You felt it too, haven't you? That tightness in your ribs when you see someone living the life you thought was yours to build. That hush of self-doubt crawling up your spine when a stranger's dopamine glow-up makes you question your own timing. Here's the brutal truth. The world today runs on distraction. Platforms are engineered to keep you chasing the next dopamine hit, to keep you locked in a loop of scrolling, comparing, and explaining yourself to people who will forget you by next week. It's the hush of notifications that never stop buzzing, the silent vortex that pulls you deeper every time you think, just one more video. And every second you spend inside that loop is a second you're not building the fortress of who you're meant to become. They tell you to share your journey, to be authentic, to post your failures and your triumphs so the world can clap for you. But authenticity has become a currency, and too often, people go bankrupt trying to buy connection that doesn't last. Jason started noticing that every time he shared his goals online, the applause felt good for 5 minutes. Then came the doubt, the criticism, the unsolicited advice from people who'd never built anything themselves. And slowly, piece by piece, his vision started leaking away. Because that's what happens when you give your narrative away for free. Every word you share becomes a thread someone else can pull. Every confession becomes ammunition for people who don't deserve to hold your truth. And while Jason was explaining himself, defending his plans, trying to make everyone understand, his silence, his true power, was dying. And here's the part no one tells you. Noise doesn't just drain your energy, it reprograms you. It sculpts you into someone reactive instead of intentional. It floods your mind with other people's timelines, so you start measuring your worth by how far you think you're falling behind. And that's how people get stuck in a vortex where life becomes about performing instead of becoming. But pause with me for a second. Breathe. Feel the quiet space between your inhale and your exhale. That space, that's where clarity lives. It's the quiet platform where you remember that your life isn't measured in likes or views. It's measured in the quiet hours no one sees, the silent roots growing beneath the surface, preparing to break through as something unstoppable. So let the world keep spinning in chaos. Let them keep explaining, keep posting, keep performing. You're about to learn how silence and focus can become the hidden engine that makes everything fall into place piece by piece without you ever having to scream for attention. There's a lie we've all been sold, that silence is weakness, that if you're not speaking, you're invisible. But the truth? Silence is often the most dangerous move you can make, because silence isn't about hiding, it's about power, precision. It's knowing that every word you say costs energy, and some things deserve to stay locked inside the fortress of your mind until the time is right to strike. Think of silence like a hidden blade. You don't draw it for show. You keep it close, sharp, invisible, until the exact moment you choose to act. That's what most people don't understand. They think silence means you're clueless, that you have nothing to contribute. But real silence, the kind that comes from focus, discipline, and mastery, is a weapon. It's the silent chessboard where you're 5 moves ahead while everyone else is still arguing over the first. Marcus Aurelius once wrote that nothing external can harm you if your mind remains untouched. But in this age of oversharing, people harm themselves by leaking their secrets, their plans, and their energy into the wrong ears. Silence is a narrative control. It's how you stay untouchable in a world that wants to dissect you. Let me tell you about Nina. She worked in tech, brilliant mind, vision clear as glass. Every time she announced her next project online, there'd be a flood of opinions, skepticism, people trying to poke holes in her blueprint before it was even built. And slowly she noticed her confidence fracturing under 1,000 tiny cuts of doubt. Until one day she stopped posting. She vanished quietly. She built her startup in silence, speaking only to those who'd earned the right to hear her voice. And when she launched, she didn't just show up. She dominated. Investors were blindsided. Competitors were scrambling to catch up. Nina learned the power of moving in silence. Because silence lets you build momentum no one can sabotage. It lets you fail quietly, adjust, and rise again before anyone knows you stumbled. It gives you the privacy to test your ideas, to evolve, to grow into the person you're becoming without the world's noisy commentary shaping who you think you should be. The loudest one in the room might look strong, but often the loudest is the most insecure, desperate to convince everyone they're winning. Meanwhile, the silent ones are in the lab, quietly refining their edge. Because silence isn't passivity, it's stillness as the blade unsheathed, waiting for the perfect moment. It's the hush of planning while the storm rages outside. So let them talk. Let them speculate. You're moving different now, because you've learned that silence isn't absence. It's tactical presence. It's how you become the echo they can't escape. And as you'll see in this video, when you learn to wield silence like a blade, you stop reacting to the world and you start orchestrating it. People talk about breakthroughs as if they happen overnight, as if one grand gesture, one viral moment is what flips your life from invisible to unstoppable. But the truth? Nothing real is built overnight. Not strength, not skill, not self-respect. Everything that lasts is carved slowly, layer by layer, in silence. Roots grow unseen in darkness. They twist deeper into the earth long before a tree breaks the surface. And that's how real transformation works. It's the compound effect, invisible progress stacking up while the world sleeps. Let me tell you about Malcolm. For years, he felt stuck, watching people online flash their wins while he was grinding in quiet obscurity. He wanted big results. He wanted them now. But every time he tried to sprint his way to success, he burned out and fell back to zero. Then he did something radical. He stopped chasing big wins and focused on small, silent rituals. Reading 10 pages every dawn, writing a single paragraph, practicing his pitch in an empty room until the echo of his voice became confidence itself. None of it felt significant in the moment. But months later, he woke up one morning and realized he'd become the man he kept trying to pretend to be. Because here's what no one tells you. Compound effect doesn't show up on highlight reels. It's not flashy. It's not loud. It's the silent hours no one applauds for. It's discipline when no one's watching. It's choosing one more rep, one more call, one more quiet hour of focus while everyone else is distracted. And slowly, silently, momentum shifts. Your skills sharpen. Your confidence hardens into something unshakable. People think consistency is boring, but consistency is the savage glow-up they never see coming. The compound effect is ruthless. It rewards those who stay hidden long enough to build something real. Stoicism teaches that greatness isn't in grand gestures, but in small, deliberate actions repeated without fail. And every day you invest quietly becomes a brick in the fortress of who you're becoming. So let the world keep scrolling for quick hits of validation. Let them chase the next shortcut. You're going to do it differently. You're going to plant quiet seeds, water them with discipline, and let your roots grow unseen. Because when the moment finally comes for you to rise, it won't be noise that makes people notice. It'll be the quiet weight of everything you built when no one was looking. Let's talk about the silent war that steals people's lives every single day. It's the war between focus and validation, between building in silence and performing for strangers. And the most dangerous part? Most people don't even know they're losing it. There's this myth floating around that says if people understand you, they'll support you. But here's the harsh truth. The more you try to explain yourself, the more permission you give the world to question your every move. Let me tell you about Linda. She's brilliant, creative, overflowing with ideas for her business. But every time she took a step forward, she'd rush to post it online. She wanted people to know she was working, evolving, growing. She wanted to prove that she wasn't just dreaming, she was executing. But each post became a magnet for noise. Advice she never asked for. Doubt disguised as concern. Tiny jabs from people who'd never dared to build anything themselves. And slowly her focus began to leak away like water through cracks in a fortress wall. Because validation feels good for 5 minutes. But it's expensive. It costs you mental energy you could have poured into your craft. It costs you the clarity to see your path without the fog of other people's opinions. Stoic philosophy teaches that the opinions of others are outside our control and therefore irrelevant to our inner peace. But in the age of dopamine loops and digital applause, staying indifferent is a quiet rebellion. The platforms we use are designed to make us crave validation, to keep us explaining, defending, and performing. They make you believe you're connecting, but what you're really doing is bleeding focus into a void that doesn't care about your outcome. Because here's what happens when you explain yourself too much. You hand over your narrative. You give people the threads they can pull to unravel your plans. You open yourself to commentary from voices that haven't earned the right to shape your story. And while you're busy proving yourself, you forget the real work. The silent hours when no one's watching, the hush of dawn when your ideas crystallize, the quiet repetition that compounds into mastery. People say if you're silent, people will misunderstand you. But sometimes silence is the only shield you've got. Silence forces people to respect the unknown. It makes them wonder what you're planning, how you're moving. It turns you into a quiet presence they can't quite figure out. And that's power. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that we can't control other people's judgments, only our own actions. And the more you understand that, the freer you become. So stop explaining. Let your silence answer the questions no one deserves to ask, because focus is your silent fortress. And the world has no right to rent space inside your mind for free. Let them wonder. Let them talk. You're going to guard your focus like it's the currency of your future. Because it is. Let's get practical. It's one thing to understand the power of silence. It's another to live it. Because moving in silence doesn't mean you vanish completely. It means you choose what to share and what to protect. It means you let your actions talk louder than any words you could post. One of the first steps is to master the hush of notifications. Every ding, every buzz, every banner sliding across your screen is a small theft of your focus. And silence begins by deciding who and what deserves access to your mental space. Imagine waking up and the first thing you feel is quiet. No instant flood of highlight reels, no dopamine hit hijacking your day before it begins. That's why some of the most focused people I know guard their mornings like a fortress. No phone, no inbox, just the hush of dawn and the silent glow of intention. Because in those hours, you're free from the narrative trap. You're the sky, not the storm. Another way to move in silence is to build private rituals that belong only to you. It might be a quiet coffee ritual at dawn, a mindful walk, or the soft scratch of a pen moving across paper while the world is still asleep. These moments look insignificant from the outside, but inside they're where your ideas crystallize, where your resilience hardens. And it's in these silent rituals that your next self takes shape. Seneca said, "Associate with people who will make you better." And sometimes that means keeping your plans away from people who can't see your vision. Because silence is also about protection. It's about deciding who's earned the right to hear your truth. Moving in silence also means recognizing the difference between secrecy and privacy. Secrecy is rooted in fear. Privacy is rooted in power. Privacy is the quiet confidence that you're working, growing, and evolving, even if no one else can see it yet. It's the invisible progress that becomes unstoppable momentum. And there's another layer, cognitive detox. So many people are stuck in scattered focus leaking mental energy across 1,000 open tabs in their brain. Silence is choosing simplicity as a silent shield. It's closing doors, finishing what you start, letting go of half-built plans you no longer believe in. It's ruthless discipline. The compound effect doesn't care how loud you talk about your goals. It only cares how quietly you show up day after day when nobody's clapping. And that's the beauty of moving in silence. You get to fail quietly, recalibrate, and rise again without an audience keeping score. Let others keep broadcasting every move, every win, every heartbreak. You'll hold your silence like a hidden blade, and when the time comes, you'll strike so precisely the world won't know what hit it. Because in the hush between your steps, your legacy is being written. There comes a moment in every journey when the silence ends, when the quiet roots you've nurtured in darkness finally break through the surface and taste the sun, and suddenly the world sees what you've been building all along. It's that day when the fortress gates swing open, and what pours out is the result of years of unseen work, relentless discipline, and nights spent crafting your craft while no one was watching. You stand there calm, almost detached, while people look at you like you've appeared out of nowhere. They'll call it luck. They'll call it overnight success. But deep down, you'll know the truth. That glow didn't come from noise. It came from silence. From 1,000 quiet hours no one applauded. From invisible battles fought in the hush of your own mind. That's when everything falls into place. Deals start closing. People you thought would never notice your work suddenly want your time. Doors you once knocked on without an answer now swing open, and you realize you've become the echo they can't escape. The quiet presence in every room that shifts conversations without ever raising your voice. Epictetus said that we suffer not from events but from our judgments about them. And when you've moved in silence long enough, you stop worrying about other people's judgments because you're too busy living in your own truth. The crowd can keep their noise. The algorithms can keep their fleeting attention. Because the hush between your steps has become your power. In that silence, you've built a savage glow-up no one saw coming. And now that it's visible, there's no going back. People wonder how you did it, how you went from invisible to inevitable. And the answer is simple. You were busy becoming while they were busy performing. You were building silent roots while they were broadcasting shallow branches. And in this moment, as everything falls into place, you'll feel it. A quiet calm that whispers that you've earned every inch of the ground beneath your feet. Pause, breathe. Let that stillness settle into your bones. Because this isn't the end. It's the hush before your next strike, and the world will never see you the same way again. So here's the lesson that echoes through every quiet hour you've ever spent working when no one was watching. Silence isn't emptiness, it's a choice. It's a deliberate act of holding your power close until the world is ready or forced to witness what you've become. Because the loudest ones are often those seeking permission, validation, or rescue. But those who move in silence are building something deeper than applause. They're building sovereignty. Marcus Aurelius once reminded himself that our worth is measured not by what others say about us, but by the virtues we cultivate in silence. And that's the essence of this entire journey. You don't owe the world an explanation for the seasons you spend hidden, for the days you're not broadcasting every move, for the quiet chapters where your roots are growing in darkness. The glow up you're crafting isn't for the feed, it's for the future you, the version of you who will one day stand in a room, silent and change the energy without uttering a single word. Let the world keep chattering. Let them chase quick validation, dopamine highs, and momentary fame. You're going to keep choosing silence as your strategy, because silence protects your focus. It guards your narrative. It's where you transform without interference. And when the moment finally comes, when the fortress gates open and your quiet work steps into the light, there will be no need for explanation, only clarity. Only the quiet confidence that you were always meant to become something the noise could never touch. Walk away not in anger, but in clarity, because in the end, you are the sky, not the storm. So let me ask you right now, where are you pouring your mental currency? Into building something real or into explaining yourself to people who will forget your name tomorrow? Because silence isn't hiding, it's strategy. And your focus is the currency that compounds into the life you've been dreaming of. The question is whether you'll spend it feeding dopamine loops or planting silent seeds that no one sees until they bloom into something unstoppable. I want you to sit with that for a moment. Breathe. Feel the hush between your thoughts. That hush is your fortress. It's the space where clarity lives, where decisions get made without noise, where your next self is taking shape even now. So this week, I challenge you to hold back one explanation, just one. Let the question hang in the air. Let people wonder what you're planning. Let curiosity become your revenge. And while they're busy guessing, keep building quietly, because that's how you become the echo they can't escape. I want to hear your story. Drop a comment and tell me, where in your life do you feel the pull to overshare, and where are you ready to go silent? What fortress are you building in private that nobody knows about yet? Remember, your silence sets the price. And the more you master the art of moving unseen, the more you realize that everything you're chasing might just be waiting to chase you back. If this resonated with you, subscribe and join this quiet rebellion we're building together. Share this video with someone who's stuck performing instead of becoming, because the quiet ones change the world while the crowd is still talking. And if nothing else, walk away from this video knowing this: you are the sky, not the storm. And sometimes the loudest victory is the one no one hears until it's already won.